Hi everyone, this is Long Vote. Today I'm analyzing one of my games played on July 29th, 2012 against my cell phone. The program is called ChessAnywhere at level 9, which is the highest level. So I'm playing white, so I open with e4. It goes e5. Then I play the King's Gambit with f4. It goes d5, and I go e takes d, and he goes e4. I go knight to f3, attacking the e pawn. It goes knight to f6, also attacking my my d pawn here. I go d3, so if he does take, then I can retake with a temple. So instead he took e takes d, bishop takes d3, and knight takes d5. So I keep developing with knight to f3, and he goes knight takes c3, trying to mess up the pawns. So b takes c3, so I have double pawns here now. My position doesn't look too good. I'm up in development though. I have 2 pieces out, and he has none out, so I'm happy with that. So he goes bishop to c5, queen to e2 check, queen to e7. So here I decide to take queen takes e7, because what's going to happen now is that he's going to take back with the bishop, takes e7, and now you can see I still have a lead in development, and I can castle. So castle short, bishop to b2, knight to c6. We're both developing here. So c4. So I'm opening up the diagonal for my dark squared bishop, and I have 2 bishops raining down on the king over here. So even though my pawns are doubled up here, I have more open files, and my game is just a little bit more open than he is. So rook to e8, taking control of the e file. So I counter with rook f to e1. He goes bishop to c5 check, and I go king to f1. So I didn't like the idea of being trapped here for with a potential back rank mate. So and I didn't really see any threats in the center because the queens are off the board. So king to f1 was okay for me. So bishop to d7, finishing his development, and knight to g5, putting pressure on the h pawn. He goes f5, disconnecting the my light squared bishop here. This is a prophylactic move, so e3. I just didn't like the idea of his knight being able to get the b4 square here, putting pressure on the bishop and the pawn, because now the bishop can no longer, well, it has to move, and it can no longer defend this pawn. So that was a prophylactic move. A3, rook to d8, taking control of the other open file. Rook A to D1. So it looks about equal at this point. My pawns are a little bit weaker than his, but I have I have more space, I think, and more open lines. My bishop is a little bit more active than his. So he goes A5 and knight to F3 with the idea of relocating it later to attack the F pawn. Yeah, I'm not sure what this move is for. I guess he's perhaps trying to take more control of the B4 square here. So now he goes rook takes E1 check, rook takes E1, bishop to D6, attacking my F pawn, G3 defending. Now he goes B6. So his dark squared bishop is not very active. There's not much he can do with it. This is okay. He probably should have stayed there. But anyways, now I go knight to H4 with the idea of attacking the F pawn. So he retreats the knight to E7, defending. So bishop to E5. So I don't think that was a good move because his bishop is not as active as mine. So I'm not sure if that was a good exchange. But my idea was really to activate my rook into a more centralized position. So he goes bishop takes E5 and rook takes E5. So I don't know if that's a good thing. So I exchanged a more active bishop. It had that really good diagonal there. But for compensation, I activated my rook. So his rook is still pretty passive. But it's easily activated if he simply moves the bishop out of the way. So he goes knight to C6, attacking my rook. So rook to D5, pinning the bishop there. Well, it's not a real pin because these two pieces are equal. So he goes G6. So my knight is not very active anymore in this spot. My attack's not going too well against this pawn here. So anyway, I go C5, trying to disconnect the pawn chain there. King to G7. So I'm not sure why. I guess he's centralizing his king. So C takes B, C takes B, D6, X-raying the B pawn here. This is a weakness because now he doesn't have any dark squared bishop to defend. So the only defenders are either the knight or the rooks. So he offers an exchange with bishop to E8. And my bishop is defended here, so I could actually move the rook. So I go rook to E6. I think at this point I want to keep my rook because it's a much more active piece than his. It's really it has control of that 6th rank here, preventing the king from being centralized. Getting a more central position and activating his king. So king to F8, So knight to f3. So now I'm trying to find a better position for my knight. Bishop to d7, attacking my rook. Rook to d6. King to e7. So he's slowly pushing my rook back. So rook to d5. King to f7. So at this point, I'm not sure why his king is going back and forth there. I think he should simply keep centralizing his king and putting pressure on my my rook until it totally retreats. So bishop to b5, putting pressure on the knight. Because if I exchange and he takes back, then the rook is hanging. So knight to b8. So he is defending the bishop here, and the rook is defending the bishop, and so I'm not gonna take yet. So knight to e5 check. King to e8. So now I added another attacker, but he added his king as a defender, so it's still not the right time to exchange. Well, I guess it is. So knight takes d7. So I guess at this point the bishop is more valuable than the knight because it's quite open. The whole center is open, and all his pawns are on light squares on this side, and there's two islands, so my bishop can go back and forth pretty quickly, whereas the knight is more of a close range piece. So he goes knight takes d7, and I go rook to d6, maintaining that pressure on his weakness here. And because the knight is pinned here, my next move was to take the b pawn. So he sees that. King to e7, rook to c6, maintaining that pressure on that pawn. King to f7. So I really, well, I guess he's the whole 6 rank here is blocked, so there's not much he can do, and he doesn't really want to move pawns and weaken the position. He could have moved the rook. I'm not sure why he anyways, he moved his king. So rook to c7, pinning the knight to the king. So there's a lot of pressure on that knight now. I have two attackers versus only one, and plus the knight can't go anywhere. So king to e6. So here I went rook to b7 with the idea of eventually exchanging, and then I would be up a pawn. I think perhaps I could have done that. No, so that was the right move. So he goes h6, which I think is just like a waiting move, or it's actually not a good move. So now I exchange. Bishop takes d7 check. Rook takes d7, rook takes b6 check, because now the pawns here are not defending each other as well. So he offers an exchange with rook to d6, and I take rook to d6. King takes d6. So I have a pass pawn, and I think it's a winning position here. So king to e2, centralizing my king. King to c5. King to d3. king to b5, c4 check, king to a4. So I think this is a mistake. I don't know, maybe he should have gone here, and I would have made probably you know, a waiting move with maybe this here, and he could have retreated, go back here, could have gone here, and I push, he would retreat, go here. You know, maybe this is like a end game with a pawn versus the king. I don't know if taking the opposition here makes sense because there's still some moves to be made. So maybe he could do that. I could check. He goes here, then I could make another waiting move, or an exchange or something like that. So let's say I make a waiting move, move back, move here, can take the opposition, I can check, can go back. So another, yeah, so actually I should have gone this one before, but at this point I would probably go here, and then right, so he would probably move here, then I could go here, and it's Zook swung for him, right? So regardless, he's in a bad position. So instead he went a4, so I advanced to c5, he goes to b5, king to d4, then h5. I think he should have blocked here instead of h5, but right, because I have a couple of waiting moves, so eventually he has to move, and so maybe that was his only move. So h5, king to d5, h4, king to d6, h takes g, h takes g, a4, c6. So all is lost for him at this point. King to c4, c7, king to b3, queen, king takes a3, queen takes queen to c3 check, king to a2, king to c5. So now I'm gonna activate the king here, and slowly squeeze him. So pawn to e3, king to b4, so g5, that's a desperate move. Queen to c2 check, king to a1, king takes a3, so the next move is checkmate. So g takes f, and queen to d1 checkmate.